What's going on, Junkie Nation? Austin Trout is back, the former junior middleweight boxing champion who now dabbled in the sport of bare knuckle, fighting one of our guys, Diego Sanchez, at this past weekend's BKFC Knuckle Mania 3. Austin Trout got the finish in round 4. Congratulations, Austin. That was a fun fight to watch, man.
Thank you. It was a fun fight to be in.
Yeah, it was exactly. So that's what I wanted to ask you. It was your first time in bare knuckle. But you look like you adapted to it pretty well. I mean, we'll give Diego some respect. He landed a few here and there, but once you got comfortable, it seemed like all of a sudden, like that fight became yours, and the finish would probably be inevitable at some point. But tell me, what was the experience like, and was it as fun as it looked to you, and compared to like when you box? I guess I don't know.
So, like, first and foremost, it was definitely very nerve-wracking to go into a bare knuckle fight with the likes of someone like Diego Sanchez, and I was worried that if I could not hurt him, that it was going to be a very bad night for me. Mm-hmm. Thank God I was able to sting him and stun him with the jab and the straight shots. But yes, it was electrifying. The adrenaline, didn't wear off until probably maybe an hour off after the fight. That's when my hands started to hurt. But it was something that I'd be very interested in doing again. Not saying I would just, give up on boxing, but, let's try it again. Let's try somebody else.
We've loved watching you compete in boxing. All respect. You've won a belt there. You've defended it and everything, and we really enjoyed you going to BKFC. Again, we're joking here, but that's one of our MMA guys that you took out, so kind of bums us out a little. But how did he do? And I know there's some stuff that's been said. If you can kind of keep that to the side, just let's focus on the competition. How did Diego do, fellow New Mexican like yourself?
Well, he really didn't implement or attempt his game plan. He told everybody he was just going to rush me and he was going to jailhouse brawl or something like to that nature. And the first round we got close into the clinch. I pushed him back. I hit his body, and I didn't see any more of that clinching. So I was expecting a lot more dirty fighting. It ended up being a boxing match that I ended up walking him down in, and I wasn't really expecting that. I thought I was gonna have to turn him the whole time. So, again, everyone has a game plan until you get punched in the face, right?
Right. After the fight, Luis Palomino was brought in, and they're already talking like this could be the matchup that gets made. He's a champ.
Yeah.
In bare knuckle. And what are your thoughts now that you got one under your belt? Hey, let's do it, or would you take one more fight before you get to Luis Palomino?
Like, if they're gonna give it to me, I'll take it. I've seen videos of Luis Palomino, and no shade, not saying he's not a good fighter. He definitely is a good fighter and a good champ for a reason. But I see something, and yeah, I'm with it. So if they give me the opportunity, excuse me, I'll take it.
Bless you. All right.
Thank you.
Can you tell us what is it that you see that jumps out at you where you're like, no, I got this?
Just saying, kind of similar with what I saw with Diego's. My footwork and in my jab is going to be a problem. That's basically it. The jab and the footwork. If he's going to get past that, then he has to deal with the combination, speed punching. And then even though I don't get hit, I got a chin. It's not every day that somebody drops Austin Trout. It takes one hell of a fighter, like the likes of Canelo.
Did Diego hurt you, rock you at all in the fight?
No, I can't say that I was rocked at any point or hurt.
After the fight, well, we already talked about the Palomino part, but I'm talking about even post-fight. Diego went to social media and said, that you cheated. And so he's saying you had more excessive Vaseline and he didn't get any. And applying it to what you said, you were expecting a little bit more of a clinch or something like that. He's saying it was difficult because of that. What do you say to Diego with his accusations?
Cap, super cap. Well, where do we start? Let's start about what are the rules on Vaseline and BKFC?
Honestly, I'm not too familiar. I mean, in MMA, you can't have it too excessive. I've
Okay,
seen
so
them wipe it
that's
down,
MMA, right? That's
and
MMA, and
the
okay,
wipe
let's
down
talk about
process.
MMA. So in MMA, when you have excessive Vaseline, when they check you at the door, right?
Right.
What will they do? Wipe you down?
Yep.
Right, and then
Wipe
they
you down.
apply whatever they think is a correct amount.
Yeah,
Okay,
and I would think
that's
that
in
same
MMA.
commissions is going to be somewhat similar, right? I mean, I don't
Okay,
know.
so that's in MMA though, right? And that's what would happen. They would wipe you down. And I'll tell you about in boxing what happens. There's no rule set. It's really on the discrepancy of the commission. And there's so you put on the grease that you're gonna try to put it on, and just like in the MMA, if there's too much, they wipe you down or they make you wipe it down and reapply it. All right, almost same thing in boxing. So here in the BKFC, there is no rules, not on the site. The BKFC doesn't list rules about Vaseline. So it's, in my opinion, it's probably going to be to the discrepancy of the commission or to the guy that greased me up before I got into the square circle. You know what I'm saying? To say that I cheated is bogus. I didn't cheat. There's no clear lines that talk about Vaseline. We didn't do anything in a box away from anyone, and we didn't come out trying to hide anything. Everything was done right there in front of everybody. And if anybody had a problem with it, they should have talked about it then. You never heard Diego right after the fight. I was right there with him. You know what he said was the reason why he couldn't clinch out of his own mouth before he saw a video that suggested that I was cheating? It wasn't his idea. It was a video that gave him this idea that I was quote unquote cheating, which I'm very aggravated about. He said the reason why he couldn't clinch is because of the speed and the footwork. That was the reason why he couldn't clinch. I was more elusive than he thought, right? That was what he said out of his mouth. Now, afterwards, and we got the timestamp footage and all that from the video because it was right after the fight. He never said he was too slippery. I couldn't grab him. He never tried to grab me. The only time we had to clinch, I beat his body up. He never tried to clinch again. Okay, so to say that the Vaseline was cheating, so that in boxing, we put Vaseline over everywhere, right? In MMA, they have a certain amount that they allow.
Right.
I don't know what that is, but they check you right at the front. Over here, they checked us at the front, and it was fine. We got in there, and whatever we put on in between rounds, because we do just like he did. He said he didn't get none, but we have footage that he got Vaseline before and in between the rounds. If his corner didn't put more on, that's his corner's fault. And if they didn't like as much Vaseline as they put on, they should have checked me, but they didn't. Okay, this is a hybrid sport. I'm from boxing, he's from MMA. Wait, he should have put on more Vaseline. He had a boxing coach in his corner, so that's really not it's not more fault to me that he was ignorant of what he could do. And again, I didn't put any excessive Vaseline because even in boxing, they don't allow excessive Vaseline. They make you wipe it off if it's too much. We put on what we felt was a good amount. It checked. And then again, BKFC, they sat there and put it on. They put the Vaseline on to go in. The only time my corner put on Vaseline was in between rounds.
Did this sour the victory at all with that?
No, it's just annoying because honestly, at first I was like, you can't be serious. Who's going to take this serious? But then there's a whole bunch of, I think they're bots because most of them have less than 100 followers and a lot of them are private, no pictures, but they're talking big head, and it didn't sour the victory because he didn't get close enough to touch me. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. The Vaseline had nothing to do with nothing. It was this jab and this footwork and the combination punching and the defense. Please go watch it again. He never grabbed the back of my neck to even attempt. As soon as he put his head up, I busted his body up. He ain't pick it up no more. Start doing this ish right here.
Palomino mentioned April. Is that too soon, or could you be ready for?
I think I could be ready by April.
Okay.
We'll see. I know my hands are still a little tender, so we'll see how long it takes for them to feel better, and then we'll start from there.
So Austin, before the fight, you shared with us your plan for BKFC and your plan for boxing. And I wanted to know, now that you've been through one fight, has any of that changed? Do you feel like after doing BKFC and being so successful at it, do you kind of want to conquer that sport, or do you just want to keep getting tastes here and there?
No, anything I do, I want to go and be the best. And even before I jumped into the BKFC, I was looking at like, how many fights do I think I need to get to the title? And so the plan was always to try to be a champion at the BKFC. I would love to be a current champion of the BKFC and boxing. So, looking and see what the boxing world has for me. I'm ranked in a certain situation in the WBA, I think top 6 or 5th or 6th in the WBA. Boxing takes a long time to get things done. I think I can get things done a lot quicker in the BKFC. So, I have I'm blessed enough that I'm in a position I can go look and say, hey, boxing, what you got for me? Well, that's not a title shot. That's not even close to the title shot. BKFC, what you got for me? A title shot or a title eliminator? Okay, look, I guess I'm going to go do that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. What did you hear from friends in boxing, people that you met for the first time out there? What were their thoughts on the event itself? It was pretty interesting, man. Even we were kind of watching it thinking, I wonder what Austin's thinking as these fights are unfolding one after another before your fight. What was the overall conversation? Did any of your friends from boxing reach out and share their thoughts on this world?
They loved it, first of all. As fans of combat sports, one of my friends, Big Six, Jason Estrada, he was the super heavyweight Olympian for 2004 in boxing. He commented, he said, bro, I only bought this because of you, you know what I'm saying? But that was the best $7.99 I ever spent. Like, I'm locked in from now on, right? And I was like, bro, I'm telling you, and you got to see that it's live. Like, it's just electrifying. These people are excited. It's an exciting sport. It's like how boxing used to be, where the fathers would take their kids and they just both would walk away like, yo, did you see, man, bro? You know what I mean? So it's exciting. It's very exciting. Everybody was very excited about it. Like numerous people told me it was probably the best, $8 they spent, and they're gonna be locked in for the next one and the next one.
It's funny you bring that up, because today I may or may not have been at Del Taco, and they may or may not have said that'll be $10. And I thought to myself, for $7.99, I watched all this for a burrito and a Coke, man. But yeah, that is tremendous. Let me ask you this here. All right. So BKFC's history, it's not that deep, right? But this might be the first time where a guy from boxing is coming over, right? And you have a guy in Luis Palomino who grew up doing mixed martial arts, but has done BKFC so long that you could almost say he's a BKFC fighter, a representative of BKFC. So we might actually have one of those types of fights, if you know what I'm getting at, where a boxer comes in and fights a proper BKFC guy, a guy that's been doing it multiple times. How do you see that matchup as opposed to, maybe what people were talking about with you and Diego, where it was MMA guy versus boxing guy?
So definitely, it didn't matter who it would be. We would take them as serious as possible. And with Palomino, we better take him serious. You know what I mean? Like, just even with Diego, he was dangerous, but we had to take him serious. It only takes one shot, right? Palomino, I believe he has much better hands than Diego. I think that's evident, and just he's the champion. I believe he's 8 fights in and undefeated in all of them. I think, again, he's gonna have to have an answer for the counter shots. One thing in boxing that I was real good at was drawing people in and then meeting them right where they are, and that's like the best way to work people that have shorter or slower feet. So not with giving too much away. He's gonna have to figure that out. And then once he figures that out, I got like 2 or 3 more other things that he's gonna have to figure out. And for me, I feel like I'm just going to try and make him figure me out instead of trying to figure him out. And that's what it is, just imposing one's will on the other.
Austin, so I looked up the rules real quick while you and Goes were talking. This is for the Athletic Commission in New Mexico. It
So
says
it's up to the commission, right? It's not a BKFC rule. It's an athletic New Mexico State Commission.
Right. BKFC doesn't have any rules at all regarding.
But that's another thing. That's another thing. We had a DI with us everywhere we were. They had checked our bottles, our water. Whenever it was time to put on Vaseline, or anything, they were right there watching, wrapping hands, putting on, well, not gloves, but wrapping the hands, and they never left our side. So again, I don't like this cheating allegation because everything we did was in front of a witness.
Right.
It was the body that upholds these rules as well.
Yep.
Go ahead, tell them the rules.
That's what they're there for sure.
Yeah.
They definitely could have said something if they saw it. Here it says, according to the New Mexico Athletic Commission rule, only discretional use of petroleum jelly, i.e. Vaseline, and nothing else will be allowed on face, arms, or any part of the contestant's body. The excessive use of petroleum jelly is strictly prohibited, and the referee shall direct any excessive petroleum jelly to be removed. And as we've spoken, that did not happen. So
it didn't happen. And so again, only Vaseline. That means no baby oil. I didn't use any baby oil.
Mm-hmm.
No lotion. I didn't use no lotion. We only used petroleum jelly. And petroleum jelly we put it on in front of everybody that witnessed it. They ain't had no problem with it. So stop calling me a cheater. You don't have the problem with me. You have a problem with someone else's discretion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I didn't put any on. That's your fault. That's your corner's fault. And he did put Vaseline on. We watched it on the video. They better put some Vaseline on all those cuts. Like, that would be ridiculous not to.
Obviously, you know how to throw a punch, but it's an adjustment to fight with.
For sure.
With no gloves on. And I wanted to ask you, is it all of your hand that takes that pounding from, connecting with the head and different parts of the body? Or is it just like a certain knuckle from one punch that you can, recall?
For me, it's really just my knuckles, and it's these first two knuckles. And you see my hand is still a little swollen, but, my knuckles, none of them are caved in. It's really just the knuckles that are a little sore. Mm-hmm. My hands are good. My wrists are good. They say my thumb is a little bit sore, but, I think that's walking away, and that's saying that they came out pretty good. I heard everybody be breaking their hands in this fight game. So, I don't think my hands broke. And again, I can move them. They're just a little swollen, and no recessed knuckles. Like, they're good. I can't wait to get to punching again, for real.
Right. Yeah. Well, we can't either. And you said April could possibly work, right?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just checking to see when my hands feel good to start hitting again, and I can jump into camp because camp. It's April is coming up. It's about to be March. Mm-hmm. So again, as soon as my hands are nice and healed, I can start training again. Then we'll see how long we have from April, and if I need a little more time, he could fight while I get mine together.
Piggybacking off what Goes said, in terms of how this went down and the response you got from people just saying, "Hey, man, I watched your fight and this is my feedback. I enjoyed it," or whatever. Did you get any of that where someone said, "Hey, I want to get in this"? Like some of your boxing friends, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of them were telling me, "Bro, are you crazy? I can't believe you're doing that." But I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna see how it goes, man. I might want to dabble. I'm like, oh, so you just want to see me do it first,
mm-hmm.
and see how it goes, and then But yeah, I think a lot of boxers are gonna start trying to sign on. And I'm happy for them. If it makes the sport more interesting, I'm with it.
You can obviously shut down any of this that you want, or tell us what you want or whatever. In our sport in MMA, the salaries are really kept low key. They're just not revealed. Goes and I, we told you we followed boxing for many years. We were well aware of the purses that come with it. And then we also watch other sports. And in other sports, the salaries are revealed. And in our opinion, I don't know what your thoughts are, it's what's allowed the NBA to have players make $50 million a year because they can compete with each other, right?
Right.
But anyway, what I'm getting at here is how, you said on the one hand, if boxing's hollering, you might be interested. If not, BKFC. But it sounds to me BKFC gives you a competitive wage. Otherwise, you wouldn't be looking at this, right?
Absolutely. Exactly. I do want to see what boxing has to offer because, depending on the fight, it could be up there with the BKFC's type of payment. They're definitely getting up there. And that's actually without even knowing what the BKFC might offer for, let's say, a title shot. I don't know what they might offer for that. It could be something better. So, the good thing is that there's some type of options happening. And you're right. They do pay well. I would just go out flat out say that BKFC pay a fair wage, and they know, and they straight up said this, like, you guys are taking the risk. You're the most important piece of this puzzle, and we want to make sure that you guys are compensated as such, and respect that. Mm-hmm. If it works out for the fighters, I'm all for it. And for them to take that kind of stance is going to force other people to start taking that kind of stance, or they're going to lose their fighters. Feel me? So just like you said, like for the NBA, for them to get up to that kind of wage, it's because they believe that they show that they're that important.
Mm-hmm. Is this a 7-figure sport for someone like you, or closer?
Oh, it can be.
Okay,
it will be.
Yeah, good. Because you're right. Without you guys, I mean, we say the fans, and it's really, really true. But I think the fighters need to understand just how much value they bring to this. That's why we tune in, because you can give us a card, the fans will be there. It sounded to me like 8,200 was popping in Burke. You know what I mean? And I think they would have shown up regardless. Yeah, of course, you and Diego have had incredible pull there, but at the same time,
it was a great card with balance. Let's just put it like that. Even if me and Diego's fight wasn't on there, it was still a great card. Like there was a lot of drama, good knockouts, good fights. I mean, the main event was crazy. The upset with Hardy, and then me and Diego's fight, it was just the icing on the cake for real.
How about the main event?
Yeah, that main event was nuts.
Wow. I mean,
I couldn't believe Juggernaut got up.
Richmond,
he was done.
Yeah,
he was done, and then. Like, I'm like, what could have Mike Richmond done differently? Jab maybe, but he still slipped and came out. I don't know what he could have done differently to not have walked into that shot.
Mm-hmm.
Fainted him in, like wow,
probably
did, golly, that was crazy.
Richmond used to fight at 135 in MMA. He just
I know he got. He's like, I don't want to make weight.
He wants to dabble with heavyweight. Now, you've been a pretty consistent 155er.
But he hits so hard. You know what I mean? That weight, that power carried with him. And that's why he's like, okay, I don't need to make weight. I can knock these big guys out. It's crazy.
You're a master of the sweet science. How many pounds could you sacrifice to a bigger guy and still feel comfortable going in there? Do you have your sights set on multiple weight classes as well?
Yeah, but I'm not going up. I'm going down. I would do I would do 65, 55, and 45 if it was the right fight, right money. Because again, I make 55 in boxing fairly easy. I've made 147 before.
Okay.
Making weight is not hard for me because I don't eat meat outside of camp. I'm vegetarian when I'm not like in hard training. And so that's how I keep my weight down.
And then camp,
especially because boxing, boxing and MMA is different because we try to just keep our weight low. Or I think MMA, they get as big as they want to, and then they cut 30 pounds or whatever. If we cut 25 pounds, it's over the course of 2 months. You know what I mean? And we slowly kind of break it down like that. And so the weight cuts I know is just night and day compared to MMA. So me trying to go to say even at 165, I was walking in at like 174, 175.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I know Diego's probably 185, maybe 195. Who knows? You know what I mean? So me trying to go up any more at 175, I'll be in there at 175 against a dude that's probably almost 200 pounds.
You eat meat during camps, though?
During camp, yeah. And it's really specific.
Interesting.
Turkey and like grass-fed or
yeah. All right. Hey, well, listen, thanks for the time you always give us.
No
we
problem,
enjoyed
man.
talking to you when we previewed the fight and now recapping the fight. And it was incredible. BKFC drew me back in. We have a lot of options for us as sports fans or just consumers of everything that's out there. And this card drew me back in. I can't wait for this weekend, honestly.
And I'm glad you read those rules out. We didn't break any rules. I did not cheat. I'm not a cheater. I've never cheated. Especially in this day and age where people is on the peds and nepotism and people, all that kind of stuff. I'm crazy. It really aggravates me because I've always been A1. So like to call me cheater and they're being really, really disrespectful with it. And it's really out of ignorance because I'm like, you don't even know the rules. You heard this from a video of somebody who don't know the rules but talks very well, and you just ran with it. This was never Diego's idea. He saw a video and he's running with it. So that's just aggravating. Take that ass whooping like a man, Diego.
Hey, Austin, I do have one more, and I'm hoping you can educate me on this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In our world, we have a lot of mixed martial artists that go to boxing or other sports, primarily Jake Paul, right? He's had his way with a lot of mixed martial arts fighters, former champions.
Yeah.
But in this particular fight, he's going up against a guy who has pro boxing experience, right? And Tommy Fury. However, we don't know how to label that. Now, in other words, the difference between a guy who's had 10 fights in boxing and a guy who's had 10 fights in mixed martial arts is very different, right?
Absolutely.
So can I get maybe your opinion on this fight? Is it fair to say Jake Paul is fighting a legitimate boxer this time around, or is it kind of the same of what we've been seeing here?
So, okay, Tommy Fury, as far as how green he is, he's probably just as green, if not greener, than Jake Paul. And Jake Paul has more experience because, like Anderson Silva, is more of a veteran fighter than Tommy Fury, even in boxing, just because he's been through it. So I'm not saying he's not a real fighter. This is as real of a fighter as any other 6-0 boxer would fight, and they probably want to fight an 8-0 boxer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
So as far as any other 6-0 boxer, this is as real as a fighter as any other 6-0 boxer would fight. Tommy Fury always has a puncher's chance. He has a pedigree of the Fury bloodline, so those things do add to the fact that he's kind of bred from this. He's watched this since he was a kid. His father, was Papa Fury. Got him training since probably he was a kid, even though he's very green and young. But he's not. I mean, if you look at Tyson Fury don't do nothing by the book, and neither will Tommy.
So he's smarter than I am. He may have gotten it. I don't get it. You think 6-0 Jake Paul, who took up the sport 3 years ago, has made up and is more talented so far in his boxing career than 8-0 Tommy Fury, who comes from a boxing family?
I'm not saying he's more talented. I'm just saying Tommy Fury is definitely a real fighter for a 6-0 fighter.
Oh, okay. So that's a formidable challenge then.
Yes. For a 6-0 fighter to face, Tommy Fury is definitely a formidable fighter. He's a real fighter for a 6-0 fighter. And then I was adding into the fact that he comes from the Tyson bloodline. He's Tyson. I mean, he's from the Fury bloodline. He's Tyson Fury's little brother. All that adds to the fact that he's a real fighter.
Who do you like?
6-0 fighter.
Who do you like? Who gets their hand raised, Austin, in that match?
I don't want to say because I don't know how these contracts are set out. You know what I mean? Like, can Jake Paul get knocked out? Is that in the contract that he can't get knocked out? So I can't even say.
I hear you.
Huh. Okay, I never thought I'd hear that. Would you fight Jake Paul?
Hell yeah, man, that's M's. That's millions.
Okay, well, I get it, but you shot me down a little while ago when we were talking about you moving up in weight. You said no.
Because that's those are competitive matches that I feel like could work my way to the millions. You know what I'm saying? With Jake Paul, that's automatic millions, and he's green. I'm not fighting a veteran MMA fighter that's been doing bare knuckle for 10 fights. Nah, he's like you said, 6-0. Now for my 35 and 5-1 or 36-5-1 self, I can get busy with Jake Paul. That's boxing. It's not bare knuckle.
Yeah,
that's back in my
realm.
Options.
You got options.
That's back in my realm.
Yeah,
bare knuckles that's new realm. I'm not trying to give up 30, 40 pounds to somebody in the new realm.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for the time.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Thank you guys.
Couple OT there. We snuck in. We appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one, man. Help clear my name. Trout's not a cheater. Trout's not a cheater.